Today is about EVA and personal interaction. I'll bring up the ISC just so that we have that little extra reminder on that. But Star Citizen in 323 is going to see some quality of life stuff. Now, this isn't going to be an all in 323, as has been made clear by all the reactions to this episode of SCL. But the update is coming to some extent. So they'll tell us what's going to be in the next patch, and then probably more things about what's coming later based on what people have asked them. But from my perspective, changing the EVA and personal interaction systems are some of the biggest ways this game can be more casually friendly in like all scenarios, but also one of the biggest things for newcomers is that personal interaction system. So really, I wanted to jump into this episode. We'll have discussion as we always do. Y'all know how it is. Deep dives mean we get plenty distracted. We'll be pulling up extra videos for context, jumping into some historical statements from the crew, and just chilling and watching some Star Citizen discussion.
Joining us on the show this week, we have four members of the eponymously named Team Kian on the show. Three members of the Team Kian, then whatever the hell Chris is. Joining us on the show to discuss a follow-up to our ISC episode on EVA, personal interaction, and default item action. So we're done messing around. Let's get to the show and introduce Kian, Chris, and Nez and Gennady. How you doing, guys?
Pretty good.
Yeah, good.
How are you?
Sorry for the intro. It just...
I was excited.
So, Kian, let's start with you. You are the... is your team still named Team Kian? I thought that was a working title. Does it have a new title now?
Not yet, no.
Not yet, so it's
As
still
devastated as I
just
am.
Team
about
Kian. Okay,
it.
tell people who you are and what you do.
I'm Keen, lead gameplay programmer on Team Keen.
Okay. And what is Team Kian? Is it all just programmers? Is it...
Yeah, there's 7 engineers and myself, so
What's the difference between a programmer and an engineer?
same thing, just different words.
I heard he's lying because I was told that all of the devs work on ships.
Could call them coders as well if I wanted.
Okay. Gennady, introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
I'm senior gameplay programmer. I'm Gennady. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, I like how AAK is like Superman working at CIG now when he's in Squadron 42. This is just his night job.
I'm working on EVA stuff. Like currently, it's just flying, and later we move to attach and surface reversal and stuff. Yeah.
I really thought you were going to say Senior Gennady. I was excited, like the Senior Gennady.
Yeah.
Inez, who are you? What do you do?
Hello. Well, my name is Ines, like I said. Team Kim, although I don't know if I approve of the name of the team.
I don't even approve the name of the team.
And yeah, I'm a gameplay programmer, and I've been at CIG for 5 years now.
5 years already.
I know,
Yes.
just time flies.
We skipped that. How long have you guys been, Kian and Gennady? How long have you been here?
How long?
Go for Kennedy.
It's for 2.5 years.
2.5 years?
I'm 5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
And Chris is part of the furniture now.
Yeah, Chris has been here about as long as I have. Chris, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm a designer. I'm assistant designer, and I have out guys like these support the team with design.
So,
Makes sense.
what's the relationship between designer and programmers? Like, can you do anything without them?
No.
And you guys really need him?
Yeah, we do. I'd like to say no, but we do.
So today's show.
I mean, I'm not a game dev, but from what and there are plenty of chat. From what it says in the monthly reports, it seems programmers are making this stuff for the feature developers, or rather, I guess they might also be feature developers. But generally, the design team is like the content team. They actually apply the stuff they've made to the game itself. Nice little collaborative relationship. Look at you guys, like you're on a team in a company together or something.
As off kilter and weird as it is, it's been that kind of day. we're following up, like I said at the beginning of the show, on our ISC episode. I was about to say IAE episode, really in the wrong part of the year. On our ISC episode just 3 weeks ago about EVA and default item actions and the personal interaction system, we solicited questions from you, the Star Citizen viewer, on Spectrum, the bespoke communications platform available at robertsspaceindustries.com. If you've never seen it, go check that out. It's where we collect questions. We let our group of questionees, is that what, when you're questionees? Not questioners. Questionees choose the questions, which you have done, and I'm just going to sit here and go through the ones you've picked out. So let's just jump into it, because people are probably tired of my antics at this point. I know I am. I see a lot. Look at this list. I see a lot of questions for EVA, so we'll try to bounce around a little bit. But let's start with an EVA one right out the gate. This one came through quite a bit. I think this one was particularly. Who was credited this? The something Wookie? Was this the Wicked Wookie? It's a question from Wicked Wookie. Thanks for submitting. Will we keep up our momentum if we jump out of a moving ship in space?
Ooh, that's a physics thing.
Answer.
Pretty sure that's a bug.
So, yeah, it's a complicated question. We don't have like real world simulation for this, so it's not keep all momentum. Part of its momentum will be kept, like I believe it's 36 meters per second maximum we have. And if you use thruster pack will enable like speed limit for this, which will be, at least for now, it's 6 meters per second. That's what we have.
Right.
I understand limitations about maybe the real simulation version of this with the momentum, but there are quite a few things that they're doing that are not simulative, and I'm not crazy about it.
So why is
I also understand though why maintaining momentum would be really difficult, especially when it comes to like cargo and derelict ships and stuff.
We don't have. Why is it that it's not just as people might expect it? Why haven't we built an entire universe of fully physicalized entities? Like,
well, because yeah, physics is cool, but we want to make a game which you can play. If people say can accelerate indefinitely, what could it be like? People like, that's insane. Yeah, we can do it, but it's.
So it's one of those things. The
dramatic effect was great. It really is like, do you want a fun game or do you want a open simulation? It's like you gonna go full Kerbal Space Program, or are you gonna do? I don't even know what the gamified version of that would be. I don't know. What other game can you build spaceships really easily? But yeah, it is actually interesting. I don't think I could find the video right now. But there was a time, gosh, it was probably a few years ago, when this question was asked before, and it was actually stated that it was a bug, that the momentum wasn't maintained. I wonder if it was a bug and they decided to just say scrap it, or if it wasn't the bug and they've just decided to say scrap it. Either way though, having a max momentum means you're going to be limited from doing like really crazy cool stuff that you'd see on YouTube for like spectacular simulation, but also probably means the game will be easier to play.
It's got to be accounted for amongst all the other physics related necessities of the game, ships and items and stuff like that. Obviously, I think anybody who's followed our programming for a while knows just how strenuous physics is on CPUs and the processors and stuff like that. So we'll always bring it to the. We're often quoted as saying we'll bring it to the point of realism, then bring it to the point of fun. But the close cousin of that is bring it to the point of realism, and then bring it to the point of what's performative for the universe. And yeah, so having just a 1-1 fully Newtonian thing is a little much for a giant fully formed universe with as many players as we're hoping to get in there.
But it's supposed to be the best damn space sim. Good Speed, thank you for the super chat.
We have a lot of things that can approximate it, like you talked about.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For like regular activities, it will be enough.
Okay. Ticorico, I hope I'm saying that right, has a question. Will we be able to turn off the F indicator in some way? This is about personal interaction, I'm guessing. Many like the fact that no UI items show up on screen until you enter interaction mode. Machinima would look really bad with a whole bunch of Fs on objects. Just show those objects some respect.
So we are going to support in 323 the option to disable the button prompt, so the F part of it, but the name of the interaction will still display. And it's not over every item, it's only one item at a time, and it's only an item that you're looking at. So, if you've got peripherals, different peripheral vision, they're not going to see names popping up all over the place. In terms of turning everything off, not for 323, but we do want to consider like accessibility options, and obviously Machinima is a huge thing for our game as well. So not 323, but it's definitely something we're considering.
Yeah, I would expect that to be able to be turned off at some point. That would be pretty weird if we had to always have that text on. Also because they're obsessed with this idea of a visor system, and you have to have something on your eyes to display stuff. It'd be weird if you couldn't do that for certain UI and you could for others. Let me show you guys what they're talking about, because this was a big problem for a lot of people. They did not want to see these things. So this is the best example. You can see here.
Item you will interact with by just tapping F, and will I also show you.
So their problem was that when you look at something, the button pops up. And people got super hyperbolic about this. I saw screenshots where there was an F on every single item in the screen. And as he said in the SCL, that's nuts. Why would anybody do that in a game? It's just whatever you're looking at. So it sounds like you can get rid of the button prompt, but not the word itself.
The type of interaction that will be performed.
Which is interesting. Interesting choice.
Lots of games have a like a no UI toggle for just this reason. It's like, hey, informed consent. As long as you know what you're doing, you hit a button and all UI elements disappear. Mm-hmm. I could see that being something that we would consider.
Yeah, down the line certainly. Yeah.
Chris is obviously a very cinematic individual, and if you tell him like, yeah, this is necessary for them to make,
Is this thing tracking me? Bro. Cut that out. Thank you. Freaking creep.
To continue making these amazing machinimas, I don't foresee a problem with proving that. Yeah.
I'm sure I like that. Yeah.
Let's see. Capitoast. Hey, Capitoast. Welcome. Since EVA will require fuel eventually, since EVA will require fuel, how do we refuel that, and does your equipment weight affect fuel consumption?
So I can maybe answer the first bit and Kennedy maybe the second bit. So with the refuel, there's two options. Again, not in the 323 because we're not using fuel for that. It's worth mentioning that EVA fuel is, in law, meant to be compressed nitrogen. So this might make more sense with that in mind. So if you're in atmosphere, you refuel automatically. And the idea behind that is that we want EVA to be accessible and just to be able to use it as often as possible. But when you're out in the void, you should be considering how you're using your fuel. So every time you step out that door, we want you to be in a situation where you're ready to go, but you've then got to consider how you use your fuel on the go. And then in terms of refueling while you're out there, we support med pen injections, or it's not med pen, it's a refuel injection, but it's the same thing you're used to with med pens and symptom masking pens where you just jab yourself with one of those. Yeah, Kennedy, do you want to talk about the, what's the other aspect of the question? Sorry, my mind's gone blank.
Will the weight of your equipment affect fuel consumption?
No, I was talking about mass, wasn't it? Does mass affect it?
I said weight.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
If mass does.
He said Mass Effect. Romances in Star Citizen? Is that what he's saying?
Answer that one.
I've misunderstood the question. In that case, at the moment, I don't think it's a big factor, but we definitely want to look into that moving forward. I don't know when, but for 323, I don't think it is.
So for 323 at least, well, the fuel isn't in 323, so you're just going to...
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so when the first version of fuel comes online, people aren't going to have to manage I can't use this, don't want to carry this weapon or this, railgun with me because it's going to burn up fuel faster.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, moving forward, so we do want to have different...
Volume is kind of low. I need to actually reset some of this. I missed this. Why is it so low for you guys? It's like blowing my ears out. Oh, maybe if I turn this up. How about we turn that side up?
But with 323,
Is that better for you?
I don't think it is.
So for 323 at least, well, the fuel isn't in 323, so you're just going to...
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. So when the first version of fuel comes online, people aren't going to have to manage I can't use this, don't want to carry this weapon or this, railgun with me because it's going to burn up fuel faster.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, moving forward, so we do want to have like different roles for armor. We have that in consideration. So you might want to put on a certain armor type to go out in EVA, and it's better at that, or it's lighter weight, that kind of thing. But that's further down the line.
Yeah, different kinds of armors could have different amounts of fuels, possibly even different like thruster layouts, be more effective or efficient maybe? Or?
So thruster layouts at the moment aren't in consideration, not to say never, but it's more about EVA fuel capacity, and also not all armor is going to be doing EVA, have EVA thrusters on them. It'll be just specific armor types and backpacks, that kind of thing. But again, we want pros and cons for armor. So you want to imagine a whole matrix of different armor types, different abilities, what they're good at, what they're bad at. That's the goal.
Okay.
That's very key, because that's a much better way to progress and differentiate play styles and people than like RPG skills you're picking up.
Weeborg, 1978. Hey, Weeborg, it's been a while. We don't usually get the names here, but you guys gave me the names, and I recognize some of these names. Weeborg's been around forever. He says, if I am in loot goblin mode, can I still loot a corpse at once, or do I have to click on every single item now?
So yeah, I can take that one. So certain items like consumables, throwables, will have an option to take all of those groups per group. One of the great pieces of feedback we had on the inventory, for example, was like the option to have to move all. So obviously this loot screen is trying to get it more like easy for the player to loot, NPCs and things like that. So yeah, we will have the option.
I feel like some of those interface options probably had to change a bit from Squadron to the PU, because just for the sheer number of things in the PU that can be looted.
Yes, it was. It's a concern in terms of the user experience, UI design, that we had to make had to rethink and make a few changes compared, because, like you said, in PU we have a great number of items that we have to fit in this one screen that's supposed to be easy to read, quick. So yeah, that was a bit of a challenge.
How's that work going?
Yeah, it's going well.
So the loot screen is an interesting one, because I'm still not fully sure where the loot screen ends and physical inventory screens begin. Because, let me see. Let's pull this up and then go back to CitizenCon. I want to say 2021. If we go all the way back to good old times and we go to Life in the Verse, this was the first place that we got like a good look at the loot screen in gameplay. Or not the loot screen, but the new inventory. I think they might have shown this in ISC a few times before this, but this was the screen where we finally got to see them in a looting scenario somewhere around here. Here we go. So walking up to a container, you want to loot it, you click it, it opens up this screen, which we all know and probably don't love too much. You get inventory on one side, inventory on the other side. It works as an engineered idea, but it was very laggy. It didn't have a lot of functionality. It wasn't super smooth, and it was pretty slow. The new thing that we've got they're talking about now is this loot screen. So this is much more streamlined. You walk up to somebody, you hit F on them, and it just opens up this menu that, like, it's still one side or the other, but you can tell it's much more focused on the crucial stuff and segmented to be useful in a quick scenario. Much better than the inventory. Way easier to use than this. But I'm not really sure like how long. So for instance, this right here is obviously a loot interaction. but I don't think this will happen if you say walk up to a ship physical or a ship compartment. Or does it? Because they've also talked about how inventories for ships are going to still work the same way. If you walk up to a compartment on your Gladius and it has some storage in there, you'll click it and it'll pop up an inventory screen for you to see, here's everything that's on the Gladius in this area. Did it really just start tracking me again? You're way too sensitive at this camera. But like, that's what I'm trying to understand. Is it going to be something that also happens on your ship inventory and stuff? Or is this purely for looting? And if so, how do things switch over for the inventory system? Is that going to be a completely different UI? Or is it going to be something that's similar like this? Or, this is my favorite possibility. If you go to the cargo stuff that they've recently talked about, where are we? Here we go. All the cargo things that they've shown, like the concept art for all the different cargo crates, you'll see that there's like subtle UI screens on every single box. And so I'm wondering if they're going to physicalize all the different inventory screens, completely get rid of this inventory overlay, and just have this loot UI, and then everything else that's accessed is through this, because they're also getting the physical kiosks at cities and in hangars, so you won't have to do your magic inventory for that anymore. Why would we need it anywhere else? So yeah, this screen might be going away completely with 3.23 or one of the subsequent patches.
Cool. Let's see. Daisy. Hi, Daisy. Can you hold a box
our
while
old
in
puppy.
EVA?
Yes.
That would suck if you couldn't.
So,
Tell us more.
So the level of polish we're going to get with that isn't 100% right now, because for 3.23, because we've got animators animating their eyeballs out. Is that a thing? But they've got a lot of work on. And that's one of the things they're working on. The state it'll be in 3.23, I'm not 100% sure yet, but it's definitely planned for them. Yeah. Okay. It's probably worth mentioning that whilst you're in EVA, you can have two-handed objects, but whilst you're attached to surfaces, again, not for 3.23, that's a different feature, you need your hands, so two-handed objects.
I can already see the glitches we're gonna get from that. Your box is gonna get stuck to your hand, and you're gonna be crawling along the ground and like pushing the box inside, and the box is gonna be injuring you, and you're not gonna be able to get off the wall, and you're just gonna keep crawling, and then eventually the box is gonna kill you. In classic SC, we love it. Yay!
Like attached to my belt by a carabiner and just walk with it behind me. The Batman Who Laughs. All right. Will we optionally be able to stand upright in EVA as we do now?
So for 3.23, no, we're focusing solely on the prone stance, and that's the lying down stance. We just really want to give a great experience for that. So there's a lot of animation work that goes into that. The guys are doing a great job with it. But yeah, the focus is the prone stance, and that's twofold. It's prone because when you attach, again, not an EVA, it's the 0G traversal thing where you attach to a surface. That's prone as well. So you get a seamless transition between the two. But also the silhouette that you maintain whilst you're moving through a ship. If you imagine flying like that through a corridor.
Where are the sound effects?
It's a lot less awkward if you're doing that than that, because occasionally you bump into things and yeah. So for now, 3.23, no. But obviously we're aware you guys are interested in it, so we'll see what we get down the line.
Yeah.
It's all about just building out that systemic experience at the moment where all the features just work together.
Yeah.
And then the stand-up stance doesn't quite work with that at the moment, so it would need some more thinking for future.
Yeah, I would imagine there are some old sci-fi folks who remember, Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and when they did their EVA, it was always in that standing stance. 2001 would use it in the standing stance, and whatever. There's a certain vintage sci-fi-ness to that. So, obviously, it's not. We can
look
all
like
admit
lame
it's not
ducks.
the most opportune or the most visually pleasing way to get about, but a toggle to. Yeah, I want to be some. I just want to do my classic, thing. Might be nice.
And it's the Expanse. Yeah, the Expanse. It's really cool in that. So I can totally.
Do they do the stand up in the Expanse too?
Yeah, you can hear the little clicks as they walk around the ship because they've got little.
I wasn't even thinking about traversal. I was just thinking about they would just fly.
All right, he mentioned mag boots. Now they have to talk about it, right?
Out to Beecher, he's just flying upright.
Yeah.
Just flying upright the whole time. So
With the epic music blaring.
Yeah. And then, of course, we had talked about eventually looking into like jetpacks or MMUs, the man maneuvering units and stuff. Those would probably be up
Yeah,
right.
if we get to those, I imagine. Yeah, because
Although I kind of want a rocket. If I'm going to have a jetpack, I kind of want a rocketeer. Something like this.
with the chewing gum like attachment.
Yeah. We had that question, right? It's somebody asked. Oh, when JJ was here, somebody asked. So I'm going to put that to you. Somebody asked if we could do the Christopher Reeve Superman and put one arm up. Can we get that as a toggle?
Not yet. Not for 323, but
I'm going to talk to Bender. I'm sure if I ask Bender.
I'm sure Bender would be interested.
Actually, Ben Simmons just sent me a message saying that they've got the show on the big 9th floor screen right now. So Bender, if you're watching, one Superman pose. Okay. Let's see. Ooze. I'm remembering why we stopped reading out the names. Ooze. Right. Previously, you talked about magnetic boots, but for now, we're only seeing the hand climbing animation system. Are magnetic boots in the status of important priority in development, or can we just go further without them?
Yeah, so again, for 323, no magnetic boots. It's not something we're actively looking at the moment, because as Keane was saying, that ecosystem of EVA attachment doesn't really fit into that. But that's it's not to say never say never. It's certainly something we're aware people are interested in, so we'll definitely consider it.
And to be clear, even the hand climbing we showed, that's not 323 either.
That's correct.
That's looking farther ahead.
Yeah.
There was some confusion about that after the episode aired and whatnot. So I just want to make sure.
Right.
It's we were looking at what came 323, and then we were excited to show what was coming down the line. I've kind of already started, haven't I? I can't just stop saying names now. Scrub 420.
I don't know what that was that just disconnected. I just plugged my camera in and something else made a sound, so we'll have to find out.
Let's just move on now. Will you allow EVA speeds above 10 to 15 milliseconds? In the ISC, we saw someone flying past Jericho going super fast and decoupled.
Currently, we can even have this speed if you use grapple hook mode along with thruster pack. So if you use grapple hook and drag yourself, it will be exactly 10 meters per second. So yeah, you got it.
But not quite the 15.
Not 15, but yeah, middle ground.
And that's to say, like, these are the speeds we think are fun, the speeds that we enjoy while playing it right now, but you guys haven't had them, right? So you'll obviously be able to give us feedback and say if you're enjoying them and if you need to go a little bit faster maybe, but like, it's what we think works well. But yeah. we're in development still, so.
So what was the, so just to be clear, you're saying the 10 milliseconds now and stuff like this. When we were talking about the 36 milliseconds before, that was jumping out of a vehicle.
Yeah, that's the overall cap. Around 36, I think, is the overall cap for an actor's movement in the game at the moment.
Yeah. So just, I see some folks in the questions, Toaster Pyro.
So then does it just like slow you down really quickly when you jump out of a ship? Is that what they're saying?
Was looking for, Toaster Pyro, was looking for some clarity. 36 is the cap, jumping out of a fast moving vehicle until you eventually, slow down. So this, and then you just you on your own. With a grappling hook, you can potentially get up to 10.
Okay. And just to clarify, when I'm saying grappling hook, we're talking about
the tractor beam.
Tractor beam, yeah.
Oh,
There's no
confirmed. We're getting physical grappling hooks. Shut up. Don't.
And
no.
no, I'm not confirming them. Just
confirmed. Grappling. When are we getting rappelling, man? Or repelling, rather. That's not rappelling. That was a stupid. It's a stupid word, Tomato. Because we got video of it. Obviously, it's all previs, as they like to do. But, like, this was from a while back. All right, y'all teased us on it. Let us do this. We got big enough caves for all this kind of stuff. And I would love to see it.
Spectre32 at Spectre01 writes, how will NPC interactions work with the new Pi system without inner thought?
So inner thought of that sense hasn't gone away. So we've still got the conversation dialogue options. That's unchanged. We do interact with corpses differently.
Who doesn't?
Oh, wow.
Yay.
Yeah, you get the prompt
Wait, can we? I'm gonna have to cut this out.
differently. We do interact with corpses differently.
What's the timestamp here? I've got to cut this out and use it as a GIF on this channel. That is great. 2140.
We do interact with corpses differently.
Who doesn't?
Oh, wow. Yeah, you get the prompt when you're interacting with a corpse or anything, right? So that's changed, but in terms of if you're interacting by having a conversation, that's still the same. That hasn't changed.
So inner thought's not going away.
No, inner thought's still there for conversation choices, and obviously the pit menu, that's inner thought of some degree, that's staying around. So.
Okay. Garniff asks, how will the new Pi system interact with and control ship dashboards and consoles?
So for 323, it's very similar to what it is right now. You still have to go into interaction mode, move the cursor around. Instead of the floating text, as in to choose the different interactions, you'll see a prompt now, and it'll just be one option to click on. But then you bring up the wheel with right click instead of left click. And then you've got the options that you would normally see as a list there on the wheel to select from. Moving forward, sometime after 323, we want to make a few changes so that free look actually becomes the mode you look around and interact with in the cockpit. So no more holding F and then moving the cursor around. The idea is more that free look, you're just looking around and seeing the prompts come up more naturally. It just feels more similar to the game when you're on foot, and we think it works a lot nicer. In addition to that, you want to have like the MFD screens show the little cursor on it as your camera's focusing on it in center screen. And that gives you like a nice accurate way of selecting things all in one mode without having to sort of move into a different mode of sort of moving the cursor around and the camera's moving slightly with it. And yeah, it just feels like a smoother experience.
Is he right?
Yeah, so
Well, she made it, so she definitely knows.
yeah, so we had to try to compromise a little bit on the dashboards, because obviously having the prompts like every single button while you try flying a ship is really not a nice experience.
Okay, sorry. I was just resetting. I lost a light over here. What was he saying about free look there? I'm just gonna go back real quick.
Different mode of sort of moving the cursor around and the camera's moving slightly. In addition to that, you want to have like the MFD screens show. You're just looking around and then free look. Sometimes you would normally see as a list there on the wheel to select from. Moving forward, sometime after 323, we want to make a few changes so that free look actually becomes the mode you look around and interact with in the cockpit. So no more holding F and then moving
Oh
the
yeah,
cursor
they
around.
talked about that.
The idea is more that free look, you're just looking around and seeing the prompts come up more naturally. It just feels more similar to the game when you're on foot, and we think it works a lot nicer.
Okay, I'm gonna skip back forward.
Well, she made it, so she definitely knows.
Yeah, so we had to try to compromise a little bit on the dashboards, because obviously having the prompts like every single button while you try flying a ship is really not a nice experience. So that's why you still have to go into interaction mode, so that way you have like full control of it, and you try to minimize the disruption to the
Still,
player.
having a prompt on every button, I haven't experienced that, but it looks so satisfying to see the buttons and be like, ooh, I can press that one.
Yeah, like Chris said, we have a few ideas that we still want to do to make this experience the best we can. So yeah.
How does that still include the physicalized touching and stuff? I can't remember what it's called right now. It had a cool name. We don't have a lot of cool names. That had a cool name.
It's not a cool name.
Physical interactions.
Yeah.
Interactions. Is that all it was?
Or player
Touchy
animated
mode.
interactions.
Player anim-
Or pay.
Pay.
Yeah,
Another one.
Piss pie.
Never mind. We're so bad at naming things.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so
they are.
we still we have still physical player animated interactions. We need a cool name, but they are not coming for 323 for this next release. In terms of code, it's not big it's not like a massive change, but it's a big effort to bring it.
Kind of figured, I think, actually. I might have written that as a question in the script coming out later, but definitely seemed like physical interaction mode was not gonna be in this upcoming update. Maelstrom is a cool name. They did do a good job on that.
We can interact with the world. We have to have certain constraints, and the items have to have a specific orientation, so the player can will drive the hand, so we can orientate it. And yeah, so it's a massive effort from other teams. So yeah, that won't be coming this next release, but it's in the works.
Yes. So I've got a message here from Dustin. He's a member of our team out of the Austin office. Hi, Dustin. He wants me to ask you about the BB-12, which is that old man maneuvering unit that was a stretch goal. It's like, are you guys gonna ever do that? Say yes.
Yes.
I know it's above your head. I'm just calling Dustin out. Dustin, don't send me crap in the middle of the show. All right, let's get back to some real questions from some real backers, like this one, possibly a hijacker. If I attach myself to a ship with the push-pull mechanics that are coming next, is the intent for the ship to be able to shake me off with enough G's? Or is the ship screwed because once I get a grip, they can't dip?
Huh. Sounds like possibly a hijacker.
Yeah, I can answer.
Just gonna go have a beer.
The username works well with the question as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you attach, theoretically, we still work. It's still work in progress. So you understand, we didn't test it yet, but I can guess it will be like systematic reaction on external G-force. You just pushed from the ship or lose your conscious, and yeah, it will do the work.
Huh.
That is the most programmer bullshit answer I've ever
Yeah.
heard. I can guess it would just systematically work. No, I'm not making fun of you. That's brilliant. I love it. It's what I get from every programmer I ever talk. He goes, well, yeah, the way we built the system, yeah, I don't know, let's try it and find out. Half the time, that's what the answer is. We just remember, well, let's just try it and see what it does. You know, so.
But what rules are they going to put on it?
We attach again and again. The hand traversal is not in 323, but when that's there and you attach onto a ship and someone tries to shake you from the ship, you're saying it should throw them or it should not throw them.
It should.
It should throw them.
I believe.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, you got a while to work on that because
Okay.
that's not in 323.
So
you
he's
got a while
not.
to-
These aren't
to
the
work
people
on
to answer that question.
But that is a beautiful, beautiful programmer answer because it's just, I don't know. We just build the systems and we see what happens. It should work. So
Should is our favorite word.
well, you know,
Rather not the time to ask it. Get it to the point where it's actually being tested in EVO, and let's see.
Fun, but that's
Or
why
QA.
we build these things systemically. Because at building a game at this size, at this scope, at this scale, you can't hand code every single individual circumstance and occasion. You build these things systemically so that the world has the universe has an internal logic, hopefully. At some point and everything, and you can just you can be like, well, based on this and this and this, yeah, it should do that. I remember the very first time we ever launched a snub craft from a ship that was in quantum. Like we were doing internal testing, and we had just got, it was literally like our first, like, hey, we've got quantum working, and Mark Aben goes, what happens if we leave in quantum? And everybody just kind of looked around. And we're like, I don't know. And so we got in, and we flew out, and the ship stayed in quantum with it. And we were all just like, how cool is that? But that was the people who made it. Oh my God, how cool is that? And that's the beauty. That's one of the reasons I love talking to programmers and stuff, because when you build systems, you can still be surprised. We call that emergent gaming. As far when the backers do it. With us, it's just happy little accidents.
We call it fucking about.
Wolf Brother 84. Remind me not to do names. How disruptive are the transitional animations from EVA to standing in gravity? From the clips, it looked almost like the character stops when it enters the gravity field, then loses control of the character, while the transition animation is to pivot to your feet down to the surface place. I want to preface this by saying what you saw in ISC was absolutely work in progress. You're looking at a feature that's not scheduled to be live for a couple months yet, so it is still work in progress. But how is it supposed to work? That transition from EVA down to
Very quick and very seamless. Yeah, that's the intent, and that's how it feels as well. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah, it
never
looks
gonna
pretty
be
quick.
100%, without mild vomit inducement. If you're doing like 180 turn, and it's intense and acrobatics, right? So what you see on screen is going to, in first person especially, is going to not always be non-vomit inducing, but it's meant to be smooth and quick. Yeah, there shouldn't be any sensation of, oh, I'm waiting for the animation to finish, or that sense of loss of control. It's so snappy that it's not really there.
I even tried it in a game, and it's perfectly fine, to my opinion. You can land spraying the bullets.
you look right down that camera
Yeah,
and say EVA is perfectly fine.
so you can land spraying the bullets, and yeah, it's keep steady position and fire rate. So yeah, it seems fine.
Okay. Another EVA here. Repheim says, can we use a knife in EVA? And what about other takedowns with fists and weapons and stuff like that?
So for 323, again, things are in progress. but
EVA
we'll see how we
punches.
go. But the intent is to have the ability to just do like a simple slash with a knife. Going beyond that, 323, that's not going to be anything more involved. Maybe more moving down the line, but unsure.
It's the same as
with
before.
regards to takedowns, no for 323, and it's obviously something we're thinking about because it's
Angry PC, how you doing?
things of,
Good to see you.
FPS combat. It's a lot more complicated to do in EVA. Like if you imagine,
One person's upside down. one
exactly,
person's
yeah.
not.
Like if there's someone in front of me and I'm crouching behind them, it's quite easy to say like, yep, I'm gonna knife them in the back. If, as you say, there's all sorts of different angles you can approach, and that, as a result, so many different animations you need, and so many things that maybe feel fine and easy to understand and intuitive in a ground gravity environment, that it's a lot more difficult to get an idea of what's going on in EVA. So for now, definitely not for 323, potentially later on. And unarmed, as in fisticuffs, not for 323 either. The intent is to do something similar, so to the knife, so you get like a simple jab. Beyond that, I'm not sure. But
What about my zero-G fist fights?
So we'll obviously
I was
take
already
that
so
into
hooked on those.
consideration and see where we go moving down the line.
Basically, I think what we all want is to be able to reenact that knife fight from Eastern Promises just in zero G.
I'm forming a cultural point.
If you know, you
Sorry.
know. Okay.
Oh, I want to say something.
Gustav Grabowski. There's a name. Good name. Will the new Pi have a customizable HUD color that players can adjust in their settings?
No.
This goes to a bunch of accessibility stuff that, quite frankly,
That's
we
a
still have
definite
yet
no.
to address. But
Yeah.
Yeah, and for 323, we won't have that option. But as you say, we really want to address moving forward. I think as well, you mentioned about styles and stuff.
There's also talk of helmet styles affecting the colour of your visor, and depending on what manufacturer you're wearing, things like that. So that's another consideration for it in future.
yeah, I know this is a question that comes up a lot, and I don't suffer from a lot of the things that a lot of folks do, but there are colors in the spectrum that I have trouble seeing or whatever. I just want to say, if I can speak from myself, I understand, we hear you. It's definitely on the list. Nobody's ever heard a conversation where it's like, no, we're not going to do that, or stuff like that. It's just on a thing of priorities and a thing. People can only work on so many things at one time. We actually just built out a new UI team in Montreal, in our Montreal studio, to help with the UI team that's here. To help tackle as many of the UI related
Montreal
issues that are
literally
still
just doubling up all the things they're doing in other studios. If you just got that Twitch sub today, or YouTube membership, or you're a supporter in any other way, I got a video. There's an exclusive video for you guys that's all about the Montreal studio, because they have been a big driving force, in my opinion, I think, in getting Star Citizen up to a better standard as a game. Not to say it is an amazing game yet, but they have certainly changed up the momentum a little bit from what I've seen.
outstanding. So that's not to say this will come close or anything, just that we're building up those teams so that they can tackle more things. So I promise, if anybody gets to announce it before I do, I'll be upset. So when I have news, I'll share it.
The giant that is Richard Tyra has told me that he really wants it as well. So accessibility in general, we're going to get a focus at some point.
Corporal Bell says, while in EVA, if we keep applying thrust from our pack, obviously not indefinitely, will we be able to increase our velocity over time, or will there be an enforced limit like ships? We sort of covered that. This is about the 10 millisecond.
Yeah.
probably.
It's the same.
Okay.
question.
Well, he had a second question.
It's probably worth mentioning though that we do have that sense of sort of vague Newtonian motion, in sense of if I thrust a little bit forward and then stop thrusting, I'll just continue going off forever at that speed unless I introduce another thrust impulse. So it's like that to some degree, and it gives you that sense of, oh, if I thrust, I keep going, and then if I look around, I'm seeing him going in that direction still. So you get the sense of it. You just can't get yourself up
that
to
was a key part of this model, is that you're going to have EVA thrust limited, but you're also going to be able to be uncoupled. Basically, your EVA flight's uncoupled. So you might have limited fuel, but if you burst yourself, you could just float all the way to a destination without needing to keep using that fuel. I think that's what he's saying here.
like that to some degree, and it gives you that sense of, oh, if I thrust, I keep going, and then if I look around, I'm seeing him going in that direction still. So you get the sense of it. You just can't get yourself up to, eventually you get the light speed right, and we don't want to go that far.
No, that attitude, Chris. Is it your intention to develop specialist and/or emergency equipment for EVA travel, like reserve gas tanks, specific armor, short duration distance boost capsules for the multi-tool? You've already mentioned some of them, the refill canisters for fuel.
Yeah, so that depends you inject yourself with.
Okay.
So as I mentioned earlier, we do want to have that difference in what I'm wearing affects what I can do. So you might have one EVA like core armor pack that's like quite slim and light, and another one that's a little bulkier and have more fuel. We're going to have backpacks that can again have more fuel. So the sense of bigger is better, and you can get different items and equipment. Again, not for 323. Everything can EVA in 323, or all armor can EVA in 323. So there's the sense that you can have different backpacks, different core armor that behave differently and have different, maybe different thrust. Not sure yet.
Hold on. What was that?
Certainly different.
Wait. Go back.
Different items. Bigger is better, and you can get different items and equipment. Again, not for 323. Everything can EVA in 323, or all armor can EVA in 323. So there's the sense that you can have different backpacks, different core armor that behave differently and have different, maybe different thrust. Not sure yet. Certainly different fuel. And also it's probably worth mentioning that, again, not in 323, but when your fuel runs out, your breathable air gets used instead. So if you're in nowhere, you can opt just to start thrusting with your breathable air.
I didn't expect that.
There's a double reason behind that. One is it's there, so why can't I use it? So yeah, great, use it, thrust. Sure. So you just get out a bit further. So if your airlock's just within reach, you can get to it. And the other is, if you want to sort of try and get somewhere and you can't reach it, you're going to die a lot faster instead of just sort of staying in the middle of nowhere, waiting for half an hour to die.
Basically, they're going to force you to die
We've
earlier.
had a couple of questions that might apply to this in the chat, as long as I'm saying out names. Adusine and Smitty Brewworks both have questions about the effect of weapons and weapon recoil on
Isn't it kind of crazy how something as simple as moving around in space is going to have so much detail in a game that's supposed to be about the spaceships, not the space people. I love that.
EVA want to know if they can pull out their FS9 and just, instead of tapping their air supply, can they pull out and just shoot themselves closer to where they're going?
Yeah, that's always
I
been.
can answer this. So, like right now, in lore, we have like idea what thruster pack compensate weapon recoil.
So no.
Yeah, you keep steady. It's not working for case if you don't have thruster pack. So short answer is no, we don't have it yet.
But
the idea is we have this idea, and it'd be nice to implement maybe someday.
yeah, I don't like. See, I think that's the first answer that I truly don't like in this. That's a definitive kind of thing. That's a design sort of thing. I feel like they should know that by now if they want to shoot for it or not. He can say that is our goal, but I would prefer to hear that is our goal rather than that is a feature we might do. I think those communicate two different things, because design-wise, I think that's a pretty important thing to have in mind by now.
You want it, weapon recoil affecting.
Yeah, probably. So you can use your weapon to just give you impulse and fly,
Right.
or throw things.
All right, so you heard it. Gennady says you're going to be able to do the Quake 3 rocket jump in EVA. He just said it. Take it to Reddit.
But again, not for 323.
Not
yeah,
for
the
323.
oxypens might actually get useful. Good call.
Except there's not a whole buttload of stuff.
Stab you with a fuel pen? You're just going to
put
push
that in
the
the box.
compressed nitrogen into my body to make me go?
Buttload of stuff.
It should be worth mentioning as well, but like for the next few releases in terms of EVA and that sort of thing, we're not considering that for what we're working on immediately. So if we do something like that, it'll be further off. For
Yeah,
sure.
definitely.
Okay.
That's
And if the patch comes out and the trailer's not called a whole buttload of stuff, they ignored me.
What's up, Surfim? Okay, I don't think it would be bad, because it's kind of like the whole thing with the HUD, right? If you're not wearing visor or a helmet with a lens, then probably you shouldn't be able to see certain things. If you don't have a EVA suit on that's meant to stabilize you, I could see it. Or it's kind of like the sound thing. If your ship gets damaged, you should lose that sound simulation. But with the way that they're going, I think they're just going to make that optional. I don't think they're going to make that simulated by damage. I hope so. I really do. But some of these calls are being made for the sake of the game rather than the simulation, and it's a choice.
They always do. Von Wick. Oh, nope. He's asking the melee question again. We already covered that. Skyfire. Can we activate the decoupled mode in EVA to be able, for example, to quickly place our feet in front and avoid hitting the avatar's head against an obstacle?
Yeah, I can answer it. Even show.
First.
You want to show?
He wants to show.
You've been good. Here.
What is that?
You get your choice. You can choose the little. You can choose the little cat person, or you can choose the Horagon.
The Horagon?
Oh, you don't want
This
the
one?
Horagon?
So,
Just alone with my Horagon, like always.
Is that a
so yeah, this figure doesn't have
Star Trek
moving
thing?
arms, but yeah. So when we approach obstacle, right now, we have weapons in front of us, like we just not to get
always a Star Trek thing?
bumping with the head, yeah. We put the head in front of us, and also we redirect, so we're not just like boom. We do like and keep flying if we have some momentum in this direction. So it's that's basically the answer on this.
So you can't go feet first if you want.
Theoretically, yes, but you don't need to. You go hands first. So it's
Well, maybe
logical.
somebody wants to do like a giant EVA flying drop kick and just go feet first. You don't know what these people. You don't know what these people think, dude. I know what these people think. It's bad.
I'm sorry, I was too distracted reading. What did he say?
Just not to get bumping with the head. Yeah, we put the head in front of us, and also we redirect, so we're not just like boom. We do like and keep flying if we have some momentum in this direction. So that's basically the answer on this.
So you can't go feet first if you want.
Is he saying that you can go feet
theoretically,
first,
yes.
or is he just saying that you will be redirected by the wall?
So you can't go feet first if you want.
Theoretically, yes, but you don't need to. You go hands first. So that's
Well, maybe
logical.
somebody wants to do like a giant EVA flying drop kick and just go feet first. You don't know what these people. You don't know what these people think, dude. I know what these people think. It's bad.
But just to clarify for 323, no.
That's all you're going to do for the rest of the show. Aeroyuki writes, my eyesight is getting better. As it is now, holding the F key allows us to use our mouse pointer on ship MFDs. Not only can we click on any part of the screen with a high degree of precision, we can also click and drag and adjust sliders. Blah, blah, blah. Isn't this the same question about before?
I did touch on the MFD things when we were
Yeah.
talking about estimate. Yeah. So
You want to pick these questions, you pick the same question.
I could maybe talk about it a little bit more if you want.
Sure.
So yeah, as I mentioned, you will be going in a later release, we're looking into having the free look mode, have you look around the cockpit rather than using the cursor to look at all the different interaction points. So we're just actually looking at them in a lot more sort of fluid motion. And then as part of that, we want to have the cursor show on the MFDs. So if you imagine you've got your visor, your view on your monitor, the center of that will dictate where the cursor goes. And it's just as accurate as when you're using it in interaction mode right now, if not a bit better, because you're focused on it always. And then also at some point we're looking at being able to go into like a focus mode onto each MFD. So whilst you're looking around the cockpit, you can quickly interact with interaction points with the prompts popping up and the cursor on the MFDs, click on things, drag on sliders. You can also then zoom into the MFDs. Again, not for 323, but hopefully soon TM.
Yeah, I kind of expected the
Karga,
MFDs weren't coming.
98531 says in the chat here, says, how much is speed a factor in EVA transition to gravity? If you're going to face, are you more likely to faceplant?
So there is like a reaction time you get when you're coming into, again, this isn't 323 because we're not attaching, but when you come into attach to a surface, part of what informs you that's going to happen is, at the moment at least, your hands rise up. But we haven't done it based on distance, we've done it based on time to hit. So if you're coming in really fast, the amount of time you get to press the input in response to that to attach is roughly the same as if you're coming in really slow. So yes, it does have an impact, but we're trying to mitigate it by having more time to react. So if you press the button at the right time, you'll attach. And then the manner in which you attach, what we want at least, is that different animation plays. So you might actually lose control for a little bit longer than you would, because the animation you're playing is really selling the fact that you've just impacted the surface. Versus if you're going slower, you'll get control back a lot faster, and the animation will be a lot shorter.
Because there are going to be people. There are people that jump into something really fast and get up to 36 milliseconds and then throw themselves out of the ship at the waiting hangar of an A1 to see just how hard they can hit the deck of the A1. And what I'm not even grabbing, just to see it, just to test that transition after we were talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
Kennedy.
Let us fly at 50 meters per second human missiles through space. Your Idris can't take it.
At 36 milliseconds, flying through space.
I die.
It's the deck of an A1.
Instant death.
Instant death?
I'd imagine so.
Quite possibly.
We're gonna
Break your naked. Yeah.
I've seen people jump out of ships and fall down through orbit and land on the ground and bounce. That's going to kill them?
Lucky, yeah. But no.
But again, that's the systemic stuff, right? Like our fall damage is based on, I think, velocity rather than your falling. So if you're hitting something really quick in space, that's the same as falling really quick somewhere else. So there is a good chance you'll kill yourself.
Karga says that is exactly all capitals what I am thinking. I'm on year 10, people. I know all you reprobates. Because they're me.
It's true.
Let's see. What else do we got? Pro Hydro says, can you still zoom while in EVA and EVA? I like when he's holding F in the current and scrolling in the current system.
Yes.
Okay.
Good answer.
Wait, what?
System EVA and FPA. Pro Hydro says, can you still zoom while in
Zoom.
EVA and FPA?
I thought they were saying
EVA.
change.
I like when he's holding F in the current and scrolling in the current system.
Yes.
Okay.
Good answer.
Yeah, I think they're just
What are SMEV?
missaying it milliseconds.
I'm not sure that's a good word. SMEV says, what are some of the edge cases or even funny bugs the team is trying to work out of the EVA T2 system? You guys must have seen
Not
some
spinning
terrors.
around my wrist.
Mostly killing myself by mistake.
So yeah, I can.
Sometimes-
in itself, like
Sometimes I go into EVA after the transition. It just straight up feels like my directional buttons are mapped to different directions. It's so weird. EVA transitions are just so messed up sometimes in this game.
complex systems with a like we're trying to combine coupled and decoupled modes for just movement, and for rotation it's interesting combination of like regular FPFs rotation, but as we in space and rotate in any direction, also 360 full 360 rotation. So yeah, it's full of edge cases. About saying what fun bugs we have, not too much except you fence plating most of the time, at least in old EVA.
I love hearing that. Not too many bugs. Just wait till we get it.
I can recall one when we work on attached to the surface. Imagine you flying through the debris, metal plates and boxes and stuff, and you press attach, and you just attach to some small metal plate which is rotating, and you inherited rotation, and you start to rotate as well. Like, it's yeah, it's weird.
Anyone else?
I think the most frustrating one was every now and then you'd sort of attach but flip onto the other side of the surface, so you'd just be killing yourself every time basically. Yeah, that was more frustrating than funny, I guess.
Yeah, it's been a fairly awkward one in general because the development of it has gone on for a while and there's been different approaches tried and things like that, and it's finally we're at a good place with it. But it's been awkward to get to this point.
I have this memory. Of, I think it might have been in one of the builds when we were doing Hold the Line, quite frankly. But when the EVA guy was rotating, the hands weren't. So he was turning into Mr. Fantastic, where the arms were just getting longer and longer and rotating around him as he was going. And
They had a
like
glitch like that way back pre 3.0 when they were testing something, and I think there was a player in either a Freelancer or a Cutlass Black, and something happened. This was footage from CIG themselves. Something happened where the players' limbs just kept stretching, and like before long, their limbs were just like bouncing off the walls, but they were just super long limbs sticking in each direction like a giant pasta monster. It's beautiful. Peak Star Citizen.
That's what I picture. I wish I had that footage because I'd show it to my enemies. But that's all right.
It's in the game right now.
Crown 8 asks in the chat, have you discovered anything during the development of EVA that has solved problems elsewhere or created new ones or new ideas? Well, I'll do new ideas or new problems. Has it helped out AI or any of the other missions or anything like that? Has there been any other benefits that other people have told you?
I think prone is the biggest one, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's all shared. Like, I'm speaking from a layman's point of view, but like animations, I know like Jens Heinrich, an animator on the feature, he found that working for one really helps out the other, and like problems of how to blend various different animations based on a 360 rotation. It's very similar problems, so it's definitely helped out in that respect.
Yeah, both have the prone pose and keep your camera in place while you're rotating and things like
Yeah.
that. So it's a very similar approach between the two features. And
Yeah,
it's
it's
probably
very
saved a bit of time.
I mean, I have to imagine level design is probably happy because they can make passageways that are much smaller and don't have to accommodate the standing tall EVA person going through.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think our smallest metric that we adhere to is crouch. So we didn't really have any prone environments, but crouch environments would just be impossible in EVA effectively without, lots of pain and suffering. So yeah, absolutely. And moving forward, when we start to eventually have ships turning the gravity off and that kind of thing, that could have led to all sorts of horrors. But now, this transition should be pretty seamless and feel good. So.
Visor with a 7 in the middle somehow in the chat says, please talk about exiting ship in Atmo. Is there any new, does EVA affect you in Atmo? Is there a new or more interesting falling animation when you're going to die? Or
Not in
It's not
323.
basically.
yeah, it's extravehicular and it's an activity. Jumping out of your ship to your death is an extravehicular activity. Maybe not one you want to embrace, but
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have some like gliding or something, but we don't have it, at least for now.
I would just like a more noticeable "I'm going to die" animation. Just like flailing,
Yeah.
trying to stop yourself, and then eventually, you just kind of resign yourself and just like lean into it. And there's a whole world we can do with people jumping out of planes. We back in, gosh, it was Gamescom 2016, whatever. During those Gamescom 2016 live streams, we invented the Drake interplanetary suborbital jump and release, where it was the very first planet we were playing. The first thing we did was we went up to the top of Atmo and jumped out, and then tried to have somebody fly down below in a cutlass with the door open.
I remember
and try
that.
to catch us before we hit the ground.
I remember that. Atmospheric cutlass catch or something. There's a few of them. I remember this one is in the Freelancer. Oh man, I'm not gonna be able to find this. I remember seeing it though. That was very cool.
We blew up a lot of cutlasses there. But let's see, what else? What other questions? We only have a few more minutes, guys. Edmund, nope, it was going too fast. Oh man, I'm not going to try it. It ends with Loco. Ed Loco. I'm just going to call you Ed Loco. Will we be able to EVA inside our own ships with probably after when the gravity is being able to turn it off? Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, that's the intent. And again, going back to post 323.
That's true. AAK did catch me in his own cutlass.
The sort of the ecosystem of how you traverse in 0G. EVA, yes. We've got a system that is actually going out in 323 where we tag up rooms of different sizes. So if you're in quite a small confined space, you don't sort of move forward and then start dinging off the walls. It reduces your max speed. So yeah, absolutely. And the intent is that we'll have this suite of traversal options where you can use your thrusters. If you have EVA thrusters, you can use your tractor beam to move yourself around, attach to surfaces, again, not in 323, move around, launch yourself off them, and then there's also another feature for handholds where you can grab onto stuff, again, not 323, and you can jump between those, or, there's supposed to be a whole suite of options inside as well as out.
David, switch to Chris's camera, but turn the bug off in the corner real quick. Yeah. Chris, look right at your camera, like this. And this is so that you can get a clean meme image that says not in 323. There you go. For all you can make yourself a clean meme image. All right, you can go back to normal. Phoenix Rising in the chat asked a question I'm going to answer. Will Saddleball be the end goal for EVA? No.
God, they're not going to do it.
I've answered this. I feel like I've answered this at least once a year, every year since 2016. The entire idea of Saddleball, outside of the lore and everything, as far as developing it, was as a test bed, as an arena commander mode, as a test bed to begin the development and testing of EVA mechanics way back in 2015, because we didn't have the PU. Development of the PU came much faster than we expected. We launched the PU in November, December of 2015. I can't remember specifically. But once we had a persistent universe in which to develop and test EVA with everybody, the use of saddle ball became non-existent. So it's a fun thing for our lore and whatnot, but that's been off the plate for going on almost a decade at this point.
Which
but it
sucks.
keeps popping up. There's a lot of people who they grab onto that idea and they're like, yeah, I want to play this 0G, a football game, whatever. And it's a cool idea. It's just not the game we're making. We've already got 2 other pretty big games we're making. It's not to say it won't ever happen. I've been here long enough to know that I'm not going to sit here and say it's never going to happen. But there are no current plans for it.
Boo.
Let's see.
That was as close as we were going to get to
People are
Ender's
asking
Game.
about wingsuits now after the.
What have you done?
Yeah.
Come on, a wingsuit would be cool.
I want one.
The next logical thing. And if anybody would work on it, would kind of be your team, I would imagine.
Quite possibly.
Likely.
Eventually, maybe. Yeah.
There's only
Just-
one ever time that I have seen something something resembling a sort of like air sport kind of thing. You got to go all the way back to, I might not even have this picture saved, a 100 series on the beach. Let's see if I can search it. Nope, I only got this picture. Okay. Satyr Citizen. Can't spell today. One of these pictures shows like a little parachute style, little glider thing. Here we go. This is the only time I've ever seen them show anything like that. That's not to say it will actually be a real thing, but we do have these other 2 vehicles in game. This would be fun. It'd be cool if it was for regular planets. But I feel like if they're going to put time into something that would keep you from falling quickly, it would be something that was gravity agnostic and not like you had to have a thick gravity for it to work. So, or not gravity, atmospheric pressure. So, I don't think they'll do parachutes. I think they'll do jetpacks of some sort for that kind of thing. This kind of stuff, though, I don't know if they'll ever do. That might just be your old best friend marketing.
All right, we're off the reservation here. Parachutes. Parachute. Something.
That's
something. So when
good timing.
When we do jump out of our ship in atmosphere or whatever,
Or you jacked out of like a single seater, right? You don't
Yeah,
want to die.
and then just fall to the ground and die.
It's something that we want to address eventually, for sure. Yeah, it's something that's been discussed.
Oh, I know it's been discussed.
No idea when, but it's something we want.
It's been discussed. It's been discussed so long. Even
discussed
Daisy knows
so
about
much.
it. Look at Daisy and tell her.
The creepy cow.
Hey, we're on the 9th floor. Chris, parachutes.
They're not even going to say anything about it.
All right. That's it, everybody. Thank you for joining us for Star Citizen Live. I've been your host, Jared Huckabee. Again, thank you to Kian and Chris and Inez and Gennady for taking the time to, at the end of your week, to be here. Gennady, you do not get to keep the figure. You have to leave it here. We got a couple things going on. I think the Lunar New Year promotions are still going on. Quorum More is still going on. So you can check those out on the robertspaceindustriescom website. There's some real interesting testing going on the EPTU at the moment. You could find out more about that if you're part of that project and if you're part of that whole endeavor. And if you're not, ask your friends. It's pretty cool. I've been seeing some of the images and videos online, and it's some pretty exciting stuff there. And then don't forget, we come back next week with another episode of ISC. Next week's ISC is more stuff actually in 323, so you're not going to be involved in this one, Chris. This next week's show is about master modes and precision targeting and weapon changes that are precipitated by precision targeting and the big gimbal changes that are coming to almost every spaceship in the Star Citizen universe there. So check that out next week, and then we'll be right back here for another episode of Star Citizen Live. I have no idea who's on it yet.
We do.
But that's pretty much all.
Distribution centers.
Track those. We do have a raid here.
Well, that's not a who.
We are raiding
That's a
Osttech. is what I'm being told by Masters Jake Bradley.
All right. So that is yeah. So master modes this week. Like I said, we're going to be having a podcast, Citizen Central, this week after that master modes episode. It will be available to all supporters. We'll be on my Discord server doing that one live as we usually do, but it will not be streaming out live. It will be available to everybody else later on, a few days later. So master modes, big thing, big change coming to 323. I'm surprised that they're bringing it to all vehicles. That was a, man, I'm sorry guys, my neck is killing me. I am surprised that's coming to 323 with all vehicles. It seems like a really hefty addition, but we'll be doing more of that on this stream. I'm going to be testing that out a little bit more because I just haven't had much experience with it. And we will be, I'll be having a podcast, like I said, Citizen Central, be bringing a few different people on with their own content surrounding that subject. Launch sequence is going to be about distribution centers, though. So you'll see a video about distribution centers, as well as the launch sequence podcast will be about it. Because Star Citizen Live should have some interesting stuff on it this week. What'd you guys think? Honestly, as much as people were saying that this was like a it's not in 323 episode and it's going to be a while later, from the reactions, I thought it was going to be a lot worse. Most of the stuff I feel like they said was not in 323 was kind of stuff they already implied or told us. I think there were a couple additions there. They didn't say the physical interaction system was going to be in 323, but from this, you could kind of tell that from the examples they were showing us, it's not going to be in 323. Same thing goes for stuff like this. When they showed, let's see, when they showed like the crawling on ships. Yeah, see, it doesn't say for 323 in these clips. So they try to drop little hints about that, but they did have it a lot to say for a lot of things.